Hey friends, I have never done a post under these conditions, but I'm in a doctor's office. They've got me waiting. I'm in the office, but I'm going to be waiting for, I heard, about 30 minutes. And I thought to myself, well, here I go. I'm at the hand specialist who's going to take a look at this wrist of mine, which I injured playing tennis back in July 4th. And hopefully I will find out a little more about what's going on. I can show you the issue. If I put my hands together like this, basically, I've spoken on my post a number of times about this. I don't have a lot of pain. Every once in a while I'll do something, I'll put some force through my thumb or through the wrist in a way, like sort of like putting pressure, like if I went to do a push-up or something that puts force on the wrist back like this, I get a little pinch. But otherwise, in daily life and even on the instrument, I don't have a ton of pain. But I do have this, which is if I put force through the plane of my hand, see that little popping? Pop, 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 pop. This bone, which I believe is the scaphoid, pops, 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 pops. And every once in a while, like if I go to pick up like a heavy skillet, right? Like I've got a big skillet coming out here and it's heavy and it wrenches on my hand. Or if I am doing it like with a forward direction so that now the force is going across this part of the wrist, like a heavy thing out there, I'll get a little pain, or I'll get a little, not even, pain's not the worst of it, it's more the feeling of instability. I don't know if any of you have ever had a feeling in your body like something's unstable. It doesn't even have to hurt. It's just one of the weirdest feelings ever. I used to have it in my knee. I had a left knee ACL tear, fully rupture, when I was like maybe 20, 21 years old. And for about a year, I didn't get it repaired. And every once in a while, my whole leg, like the whole joint, would just go clunk or clunk. And even, usually there's pain associated with that. But even when there's not really, or even when the pain is just kind of minimal, the feeling that a part of our body is not in integrity, it doesn't have the full sort of like structure that it's supposed to have, it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling. So hopefully Dr. Chun will be helping me understand a little more what's going on and figuring out what I need to do to get this healthy again. Because obviously, as a professional pianist, instability in my hand, even if it's not causing me a lot of pain now, my question is like, well, what about in 10 years? What about in 20 years? Right? This is something that I intend to do for the rest of my life. So I'd love to know that I've got a strong mechanism here. And as I prepare for this, in a way, it's like I've been preparing for this for a while. I wished I could have had this appointment months ago. It took this long to get in. I made several attempts to sort of play the diva and be like, I'm a pianist, I need to see you tomorrow. And it didn't work. But hopefully, I've been waiting for it for a while, and I'm really kind of hopeful that this will take me a new step forward. I've spoken in some of my other posts about the work that a really spectacular osteopath has done in freeing up some of the other bones in my hand, which has already impacted my piano playing and already opened up some movement and some spaces that are kind of remarkable. And I have a feeling of ease sometimes when I play now. I just have a sense like, oh, this can be easy. There's a way in which these compacted, compressed bones were making things both be hard and also just feel hard when they weren't. Technical things, and even just the simple approach to the keyboard when there wasn't much of a technical challenge. Sometimes it was laden with effort. And I'm excited because we'll see what I find out, but I think some good information and potentially some good rehab prescription could really help me back, get back to that place of stability. And it's interesting to me because on another level, and I've spoken about this before too, but this injury, because I went to the osteopath with this, and he started to discover the other parts of my wrist that were locked up, I almost feel like this injury was just getting me in the door so that I could do this other healing work that I didn't even know I needed. I would not have just walked into an osteopath's office and said, hey, can you look at my wrist? If I had not had a reason to. And yet, doing so and getting really into these kind of like deeper compressions, and honestly, it's trauma from probably at least a couple decades ago, if not going all the way back into like my teen years. That's where I feel like so when he started to release this stuff, those are the memories that started to come back. I don't know if any of you have ever had the experience of like healing a trauma in your body, or at least beginning the process of healing a trauma. Like maybe you find something. It's like finding scar tissue somewhere in your body, and you go, oh, I've just been kind of like compensating for that or avoiding it for so long. I didn't even know it was there. And then you feel it and oh God, that's there on the physical level. And then before you know it, there's like, you're having memories of like, oh gosh, that was a really horrible experience I had on that 3rd grade field trip. Why am I thinking about that right now? Those kinds of deep memory can come back out of the experience of healing a traumatic injury. And so again, sort of on another level of healing, I feel like this injury opened a door. Likely the reason that it happened is because these bones over on this side were too compacted. They were too immobile to be able to accommodate the movement of my tennis stroke. So when I went and tried to, kind of follow through on the racket with my topspin, this part of the hand, this over on this side, got pulled out of place because the rest of the hand wasn't moving properly. Now I can't, that's not a clinical diagnosis, but that's kind of my best guess. And so this opening here that then led to the rest of the mechanism being online for me. The osteopath said this section of your hand is so compacted that it's likely you had no feeling at all in that area. You just had no consciousness in that area. And that's a little bit what it felt like. And when he released it, it felt like consciousness coming back of things that were dark and painful, and taking me right back to like some really intense emotional moments in my adolescence when there was just this inability to express what I needed to express. And so it just came out in these kind of, never violent against other people, but kind of, I'd punch walls. I would just get super frustrated and try and take my rage out on inanimate objects. I broke lots of tennis rackets. So that's what started to show up. That's what started to show up as I got into healing that area. And so on some level, it's like I'm already grateful. I'm already grateful that this happened, and I'm already I've already kind of come to terms with it as an injury that really scared me, and still sort of to some degree scares me, but not really. But I've come to a place where I'm like, this was right. This was what needed to happen to get me to look at what I needed to look at. You know, it's kind of like the perfection with which our own karma and or the universe delivers us unto the experience that we need is remarkable. It's like a very, very fine-tuned machine. But as I get to where it feels about as healed as it can get without further understanding on my part, I'm also excited to take the next step and hopefully not carry long-term deficit as a result of learning this lesson. So that's that, folks. I wanted to do this before the doctor comes in because I'm kind of getting my where I am now before entering the before getting the message, and then of course I will report back. You will hear. This has been building up for several months, so I will report back as I get the information. But that's where I am today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.